This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome to Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Cody, and with me are Kyle and Ken.
Welcome back, everyone.
Happy Friday. Friday.
Yeah.
Sure.
Woo.
Sure, Ken.
We got Tom and Jerry this week.
We do.
True.
We have
True.
a second animated family film this week.
Family film this
It's
week that's
not
brand new.
It's not an R-rated romantic drama?
Rocketing to number one as Crude's rockets down the list, I have a feeling, this week.
Cruise will probably be number 2.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be the spillover from all the restricted seating. People can't get into
It would
Tom
be
and Jerry.
insane if it ends up, number 2. It'll be
Yeah.
That'll be a bigger thing being number 2 on 13 weeks or 14
Yeah.
weeks than being number 1.
Right.
To be number 2 with all this other competition and another movie that's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. I'm excited, though. We finally are getting into product, having more normal weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is good.
It's the first time in the while that it's really felt normal. I mean,
Yeah.
just having something else that can compete
I
with
know.
another movie.
And then next week we've got 3 titles.
3 wide releases.
Yeah.
And
With Raya, Boogie, and what's the third
Chaos
one again? Chaos
Walking.
Walking. Right.
So, I mean, next week really feels like a normal week.
3 wide releases. That's the first time we've had that since Christmas.
Yeah, since Christmas.
So
And before that,
Almost 2
Oh,
full
year?
months. Yeah.
And even still, we were like, this feels nice, but it doesn't feel right.
Right.
You
We
know?
had the random week with New Mutants and Copperfield and something else back in.
Unhinged, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
maybe.
Unhinged
About
was
that
the week
time.
before that. I think it was by itself. But
Okay.
we had a random week where it was like, look at this.
there's more than one booking
But
this
there's been
week.
3 weekends since March of last year
Yeah.
with 3 new movies and 3 wide releases that are
Right.
like actual playable films.
Yep. So we've got, Tom and Jerry will be a holdover. So I've got 4 screens ready to go. 4.
Yeah.
That up from 1.
Yeah.
0 in some cases.
Better than nothing.
Yeah. So 4 screens. I'll have Tom and Jerry.
That's awesome.
I'll have Raya and the Last Dragon from Disney. We'll have Chaos Walking from Lionsgate for the, the 13-year PG-13 crowd. And then we'll have Boogie from Focus, which will be R, but it's short. It's like 90 minutes.
90 minutes. It's rated R. It's a softer version
Yep.
of He Got Game, but for an Asian audience, it's
It's good. It's just
it's
different.
quality enough, and
Yeah.
it's different.
And it's an R title for adults. So you got something for adults, for the middle ground, and for kids. It's awesome. Finally, we have a real slate of films.
Huzzah!
We knew this would happen. We knew it would come back.
Yeah.
We've been here.
I mean, I wish it would come back a lot sooner, but this is working. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
don't
upset
talk
over
about
this.
the second or third weekend of March, though.
No.
We're not going to focus on that right now. Just enjoy
No.
this. This is nice. This is bliss.
But the
This is
fourth weekend
bliss.
had some good news.
Yeah. So Nobody from Universal moved up into the last weekend in March. So that, trying to get ahead of Godzilla in the Easter weekend corridor. So
Universal doing something positive for theaters?
guys, we had a movie move up.
Is it opposite day?
It's literally like Christmas all over again.
Yeah.
This is very exciting.
Yeah.
And then we're getting more information from Sony on their long weekend film. So we finally have a trailer for that, and we're going to get a screener next week, and we'll let you know what we think about it.
Yeah.
We get that one, and then we get the super secret Raya screener next week.
Ooh.
Very
Really?
exciting.
Super secret Raya screener.
We can't. Cody's not allowed to talk about that.
I can't talk about
I guess
it.
you can. It's Friday. It'll be Friday. We can talk about it.
Oh,
You will
yeah.
have seen
I
it
will
in
have
the
would
seen
theater.
it.
It would have been released. Yeah.
We'll be able to
We'll
talk
be in the
about it.
clear.
I can't talk too much about it now. All I can say is,
Super
if you
secret.
see super secret,
Secret.
if you see my window shades drawn,
Mm-hmm.
my office door shut, lights off,
Cody alone in her office. No one
Yeah.
else.
super secret.
No
Raya.
recording equipment.
Which
So-
might be great for Cody. I think Cody's wanted that for a while now. I think she's getting sick of us.
Could be. You're the only other people I see.
Right.
It's you and the children. I'll never get sick of them.
I get it. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
So
I
that
mean,
was our only release schedule change that we have so far.
And it was a good one.
Yeah, nobody moving up.
Yeah. And then as far as bookings go, are you adding anything else or out of those four?
Yeah. So I got those ones booked at all places, and there's a lot of small art product that's being expanded the second and third week of March, because I think that's when the Academy Award nominations are coming out. So they're trying to expand at that time, capitalizing on any awards publicity. So we've got the Courier from Roadside. I have a few locations. The Father from Sony Classics. I have in a few locations.
The Mortician by STX.
No, I don't have that anywhere because they didn't want it.
I mean, maybe for
it's expanding.
It's expanding.
Maybe if the Golden Globes announced their winners, I'm sure they got nominated for those, right?
I don't know. We'll talk about the Golden Globes later. They got outed as having no representation, which we all knew.
It's not too surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else am I bringing in? There's a horror comedy film called Happily that I'm trying to book in a few spots.
Yeah, stars Joel McHale from Community, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That one looked interesting. And there's a faith-based title called Lamb of God that I'm booking. There's also another one from Iconic that is called My Brother's Keeper that I'm also bringing in.
Faith-based type movie.
Yep. Alternative content company, so that one's kind of interesting.
We might talk about, I believe we're going to talk about this movie soon, but Nomadland, is that going to, with Oscar contention, is that going to be one that might get more screens?
No.
Okay.
No.
Cool.
They went day and date with Hulu, and it really killed the grosses on that. I think that depressed the specialty box office by doing that. So I don't think I'm going to bring that in because it will have been on streaming for so long.
Right.
And I just don't think it's good. We'll get into that in a little bit. You saw it, Ken saw it. But
I'm really excited about this
I
one.
saw the grosses from our places, and it was not pretty.
I'm not too surprised.
For being their big Oscar contender, it fell a little flat.
Well, this year's kind of a wash to begin with when it comes to award stuff, but
even last year when Parasite came out in October, we saw some surprising grosses out of it.
We did.
It's true.
We could tell there was something there.
Where it was, I mean,
has a
normally
market.
on an A24 or Neon film that's looking for art, you see it come out and does a couple $100s. And we had 4-digit grosses almost everywhere we opened it, which was surprising, where we held it a couple, 3-4 weeks and then brought it back and played it another 4 weeks in February and March. So,
yeah, Parasite we could tell was good. There was some undercurrent with that.
Yeah. But it was...
I know that the grosses are lower than normal, and it's really hard when a location that could have had a $2,000 or $3,000 gross on a screen a week has a $200 or $300. So it's all relative. You still are getting only so many people in your market to come to it right now.
Yeah.
But a movie that's got all this buzz... for Oscars should lose to Monster Hunter, which came out on 12/18.
I'm just
which
saying
it did everywhere it played.
Yeah.
At this point in the pandemic, if you've been open long enough, for the most part, that you know kind of where your new normal is with your restricted capacity and people still staying home. You've been open enough to know who's coming out and who's not, and what your capability is. And so when I can kind of tell now from the grosses when something is there and consistent and doing well, like we still have Monster Hunter. It's theatrical. It's exclusive to theaters. That one's still doing well. I still have Wonder Woman. I still have Croods. Croods are doing 4-digit grosses still. I mean, you can still see where they're at, even though the grosses overall are down from where they historically have been. But
Marksman's a month out and still playing strong.
I still have War with Grandpa on some places. I mean,
that's
it's
still
just
wild to me.
Yeah,
It's on like DVD now, isn't it?
It went on DVD Christmas Day, so it's 2 months post DVD, and it still
does
grossing.
almost the exact same amount every single weekend. So you just keep it. But with Nomadland, it was disappointing. You can when you're expecting, say, $1,000 gross, and you get a $200 gross, you know that something's up. So So I think Nomadland was just a tough sell. It's a depressing looking film, and I really think the audiences want uplifting stuff right now.
Yeah, I get that.
So no, I will not be bringing Nomadland back.
Okay, to answer that question.
Answer that question.
I get it. I
don't think that's one.
Are we ready for Kyle's review?
Almost.
Or do you have something else to add to your booking strategies?
So I always like to also named off several films that I am circling for the month of March, just trying to make sure that I get everything in. I also want to give everybody some updates on the Shuttered Venues grant before we move on. It's looking like the portal may not be built till April. I was really hoping for March, but I was thinking it was going to be mid to late March. It looks like it might be April now before the portal's even built to apply.
Yeah.
The good news that we got is that everybody can apply in the first 2 weeks. Like, everybody can apply as soon as it opens. What you have to do is designate if you had a 90% loss in revenue or 70% or less. And so you have to designate that on your application, and then that's how they're going to be processed. So everybody can apply, and they'll take them all, but they're only going to process the 90% people first, and then they'll go to the 70% people. So that's nice. So you don't have to wait 2 weeks from the time it opens to be able to apply if you've had a 70% loss in revenue. So I like that everybody's going to get to apply all at once. They probably will be looking for your 2020 tax returns. So and the deadline's not till April. So a lot of places probably won't have 2020. So there is some thought that, because you definitely need your 2019s, but everybody's got those by now. So you'll turn in your 2019s, and you might only get partial money back or partial awards for this grant until you turn in your 2020 tax returns. So I guess just really push the accountants to get those done and just really work on that, because you'll need them. Other than that, they're going to release another update to their frequently asked questions today. I checked right before we started recording for this podcast, and they had not updated. And knowing my luck, as soon as we get done, I will see that update.
Yeah, we mentioned about this last week, and it seems like that theory is holding on strong right now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they update at the very end of the day on Friday. It's just so that they don't have to answer questions, I think, from people.
Let's just pack up and go home.
I wouldn't bet against it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big issue here is that shuttered venues, you're not going to be able to apply until April. Well, that's going to be after the PPP deadline, second draw deadline, because the deadline for second round of PPP is end of March 31st. And so a lot of people may not be able to make it to the April time.
Sometime in April.
Yeah, and then maybe get your money hopefully sometime in April, but it could be May before you get your money. And so I think it's really putting a lot of people between a rock and a hard place. And, do you take PPP and way less money, but you can get it, it's right now and immediate, or do you wait for a lot more money in shuttered venues? I'm still of the opinion you wait. But it's a tough decision, and I don't, you gotta weigh that. I think I would give it though till middle of March before you fully make a decision on PPP versus shuttered venues, and maybe maybe we'll have some more updates by then.
Yeah,
on that. So yeah, that's all I got. Not a lot of anything new. Oh, I did do the certified letter or notarized letter. So apparently, as a process, sam.gov needs to certify that you have an authorized user on your account. And so they need a notarized letter for that. And they give you the template. You go and you get it notarized, and then they give you instructions to upload it. It's really easy. So we'll have some tips and tricks on that, because I'm going through that process right now. I just didn't have time today to go to the notary, go to the bank.
No, but once that's completed, all those tips and tricks will be up at silverscreeninsider.com. So just keep on a watch for that.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yes.
we talked a little bit about it. How was Nomadland actually? From a person who hadn't seen it, just looked at grosses. I thought fight. Not good. But I want your opinions from the men who saw it.
Who wants to go first?
Kyle, go ahead and bring it up before I burn it down.
Build her up, Kyle.
So Cody is right. This movie is very sad. Basically, the movie is about a woman who has to live the life of a nomad after the town that she lived in suffered a major economic crash, which caused her to just about lose everything on top of losing her husband previously to that event. So she has to learn how to live as a nomad. And basically, the movie acts as a good balance between showing the hardships that come from living as a nomad and also showing some of the positive angles that can come from that. Like the movie does show like real nomads, like explaining, what were the unfortunate circumstances that they have to resort to this type of living, or maybe they just decide, I just like living this way. I like preferring to live this way. So I like that it had a good balance between not always being so depressing and showing the good sides of things, but for the most part, it is a movie that is showcasing that lifestyle and how unfortunate and lonely that lifestyle can be. So for me, I thought that it was well handled when it comes to that subject matter and to present it delicately and respectfully. But I understand, obviously, that the premise is definitely not for everyone.
So they didn't have any hipsters or retirees in their $100,000 tricked out vans coming across her?
No, luckily not. They did not glamorize it. That's for sure.
No glamping in this one?
Yeah, mainly the nomads that they're following are just in the elderly age, and they don't have families' money to trick out their own vans and whatnot. They have to rely on their own.
They didn't get a vintage van and rebuild it with reclaimed materials.
You could say the vans are vintage, but it's not as compared to YouTubers who do that sort of thing.
Oh, well, How does it end? Does she just drive off into the sunset?
She drives off into the sunset.
It's a Searchlight movie, so it has no ending.
So it has no ending.
Nope, her story keeps going. Her way of living keeps going, but she finds a way to live it as best as she can and having to go off in a new direction for herself while at the same time kind of living a life that's a bit lonely, even though she has
went east instead of more west?
I don't know what that means, but sure. It's a metaphor there somewhere, right?
So how does her husband die? Is it medical? Is it suicide? Is it?
It's just medical, and it happens before the economic crash happens anyway. So it's just one bad event after another, and just the situation ends up having her to resort to living as a nomad.
Oh, sounds so lonely.
Yeah, but Frances McDormand, she does this role well because she's the type of actress that has like the acting chops to pull off something like this, but she's also not completely distracting. Like she's a good view side for the audience to understand this type of lifestyle, and she handles like her independent scenes really well, but also handles like working opposite of people who aren't actors. They're just real life people, but they're playing into those roles a bit, and she handles that so well. Like it never feels like she's overshadowing them.
They did cast real homeless people in this movie.
Yeah.
That's one reason why we couldn't play it in some places.
I'm not surprised at all. Like I definitely understand why this isn't a movie that can play, but I thought the way the subject manner was handled, I thought that it was done really well, at least.
And I just want to clarify, it's not because there's homeless people in it. It's because in a really crazy story, one of our clients actually knew one of the people cast in it and did not like that person and was like, I'm not playing this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We don't have anything against homeless people at SSI.
No. We'll have to make an official statement, but that's the shortened version.
Yeah.
All right, okay, Ken, your turn.
What were your thoughts on it? I want to know.
How confident are you with the bleep feature of the recording of the podcast?
Yeah.
I can work my magic.
PG-13 language, please. That way we don't have to bleep anything.
Makes my job easier.
This movie was so goddamn stupid. They dumped Frances McDormand in the middle of
McDormand
with a D, McDormand
in the middle of the freaking desert.
Yeah,
with a bunch of mentally
ill
homeless, or in quotations, or without home people, and expect this to be like, look at the sweeping vistas, look at the beautiful sunset she's walking through, and it's like,
It's the only positive part of her journey.
no, it was horrifying to watch. All these people, I mean, she is what you'd call a handsome actress. She's not beautiful, she's not gorgeous, she's not striking, but next to all these people, she looks like Scarlett Johansson. Okay, it was very awkward.
Meanwhile, I was thinking if Scarlett Johansson was in this role, no way this movie's gonna work.
No, it doesn't work. But it was.
She's got a rugged beauty to her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's classically beautiful, maybe in that sense.
I like
but
when
not
he's
like,
handsome.
Yeah, she's a handsome woman.
She's a handsome woman.
But anyway, she stands out like a sore thumb in the middle of all this. You have to watch her poop in a bucket. You have to watch her float her way across a pond naked as a 60-year-old woman. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That scene, they probably could have. Not
I
that,
asked Ken, was the scene, was it quick flash or was it a little uncomfortably prolonged?
There wasn't really a reason for them to show that, I don't think. But
It
so
was-
I agree
it
with you
was-
on that.
It
like,
might have been 60 seconds long.
Yeah, it was quite a
l-
while.
Yeah,
It was quite a while.
yeah.
Not very
Ken-
necessary. I'll give you that one.
Ken this morning described it as, I saw naked beeve. And I was like, really?
Do
In
I have to
that
bleep
movie?
that one out, or is
Yeah, I
that
think so.
PG-13?
You
I
don't
think
have to
that-
bleep,
I think you have to-
that out.
I'll look that up. I'll figure that one out.
No, she looked like a corpse that they find on NYPD Blue floating
God.
in the water. It was so pale. It was so scraggly. It's just too old to be doing nude scenes.
And it seems very unnecessary
I
for
agree.
the
I agree with that.
story.
I'll agree with that.
If you feel like being depressed and seeing 6-year-old women in the nude floating, doing the backstroke,
And then
this
pooping
movie-
in buckets.
and pooping in buckets, this movie is for you.
Ken said that apparently she couldn't sleep at truck stops because those are for truckers. So that
kept kicking her out of
horrifying moment where
places.
she got pushed out of places.
Yeah, it was all awkward and terrible and horrifying, and the casting. I mean, she ends up becoming friends with, but not hooking up with, some guy that looks like an even older version of Bruce Dern.
Actually, he's a character actor. He's not a real.
I know,
guy,
but he's so old.
I just want to
and
make
he's
that
so
point.
gray and so skeleton-like.
Well,
And they're aren't they?
Ken, old people need loving too.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't show him actually doing anything.
Well,
Well, they need companionship.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're companions.
And she doesn't have a home, so she probably really shouldn't be getting a dog or a pet.
And the point is that she couldn't be in a relationship.
So many of these people have dogs. They may be for a food source at some point, but the whole movie. No, watch anything else. Watch any of her other movies
Yeah.
in reverse.
I mean, go watch Fargo.
Dubbed,
rewatched that
dubbed in
recently.
Portuguese. Watch any of her movies, okay? Because this one was,
Three Billboards is great.
yeah,
Yeah.
Watch it with the television off. Just turn the movie on and then turn the television off, and it's a better watch than Nomadland.
Change your mind 10 minutes in and turn it off.
My
That'll
favorite
be
part
better.
of Nomadland was when it ended.
And that's your review.
That's the review. I'm sorry, it was terrible.
That's all right.
Woof.
I am sure that there's people who went to the theater and came out thinking the same thing. I get it.
No, there weren't people that went to the theater. And
Well,
thought
that
same
was the
thing.
problem.
The
So
one,
that's the
the
issue.
one person that came to the theater who might have been like, "Oops, wrong movie," and went to go
Yeah.
see Croods.
I think people just want something happy and uplifting. And this movie may have worked in a different context in our society at a different point, but
Yeah,
maybe some of it hit too close to home for some people. Some of
It
it
could've,
was just so sad and depressing.
I mean, the movie does show like almost anyone can know someone living in that type of situation. So I'm sure it's actually very possible that quite a few people saw this trailer and was like, I like my uncle or my, grandpa is in that situation. Like, I don't want to see that movie. So I don't think that's far-fetched at all.
Yeah, the only good news was, Cody, that your Amazon shopping addiction was paying for her nomad lifestyle, so that's good.
Yeah, that's what you said. That Amazon came in to
You
help
get to-
the town.
You get to see this pumped up version of what Amazon workers live through.
I was surprised by that. They show her because she's bouncing from job to job throughout like the seasons, and she ends up working as like a factory worker at Amazon. I am shocked they got cameras in there. Especially for this subject matter.
There's no way that was the place unless they got 100%.
Yeah.
Approval of every scene.
Maybe they showed the outside of the building and then.
Was it actually Amazon branding?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if they
I can't
did
believe
get approval,
Amazon approved that.
I know,
I think they
right?
gave them final cut for.
I mean,
and
they
then
don't.
Academy Award movie with her in it, and they get a final cut of exactly how Amazon looks.
Yeah.
And Amazon actually looked good through the movie. Like
they weren't
their
painted,
branding was decent.
They weren't painted in a bad picture. It's just her circumstances and her having to work because of her situation. That part, I'm like, does Amazon want to have that?
Did make it look like only homeless people work at Amazon.
Yeah. And maybe Amazon missed that, or maybe they got away with that somehow. I don't know, but I was really surprised by that.
That is
part.
surprising.
Yeah.
Usually
I'm
it's like
shocked.
generic like delivery company.
Yeah,
well, that they
delivery are us.
Remember when
parody it and make it Scamazon? Or,
Yeah.
Remember that movie with the comedian and Jessica Simpson? And
Coming to America when they used McDowell's instead of
Yeah.
McDonald's,
Well,
which is the
I was-
ultimate example of this.
No, I was
Did
thinking
you
of
say a movie with Jessica Simpson?
yeah, and they were in a Costco, obviously, but
Good
you couldn't
Lord.
tell it was a Costco.
Who else was in that movie?
A Jessica
The
Simpson
comedian,
movie?
Jessica Simpson.
No, I'm not surprised that's not what I'm surprised by.
Dane Cook.
Who?
Dane
Actually,
Cook
that checks out a lot.
and Jessica Simpson in
That
this
checks
movie,
out.
and it was a Costco.
I have no idea what the movie is, but that pairing doesn't
Ken
surprise
knows.
me.
He
So
would
you're gonna
recognize the
pick-
Costco.
I'm sure
who
there's,
saw one.
there's
So you're
probably
gonna-
some listener that does too.
So you're gonna
but
pick a random Jessica Simpson
I
movie
was
over
just-
Coming to America?
I'm going with Coming to America.
It's the ultimate parody in a film.
Yeah, I'm going with the
Before
Jessica Simpson one.
before they
That-
pulled it out of theaters,
That
McDonald's
was
was
the
getting
first.
on board.
That was the first
to
one I
rename
thought.
several of their McDonald's McDowell's for the movie's release. So
I didn't want to talk about Coming to America too because it's streaming only. So
I know, and I'm not. I talked about the original,
well,
which
the
played
original
played-
one has
played
been
in
and made
theaters.
hundreds
Loophole.
of millions of dollars
been tarnished.
for open theaters.
It's been tarnished.
All right,
But you would think Amazon would do
Yeah.
a version of that,
Yeah.
but they didn't. I don't know.
I feel like
It was
Ken
weird.
knows what I'm talking about, but he is being obtuse.
what?
Why?
Me?
Because I asked him, I was like, "Is this?" Because I'm pretty sure we watched part of it, and he's like, "That is really a Costco," because he used to work there.
I mean,
he
I'm
knows
sure-
the ins and outs.
Or the movie was just so bad that he blocked it out of his memory for good
that
reason.
too. I don't remember what happens in it.
The
Just
Dane
that they
Cook,
were
Jessica Simpson movies, like.
love interests. I fell in love in a Costco.
Anyway.
So New York City's reopening, huh?
We fell in love in a Costco.
Anyway.
No, we fell in love before that. Okay, New York City is
It grew in
reopening.
Costco.
Hallelujah, everybody.
Yes.
This is going to go so far in keeping movies on the release schedule.
Yep.
So New York can open in March, early March, with 25% capacity, which is great. I mean, we're
25% New York is 300 times
Yeah.
everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a big, big, big deal.
and I there's rumblings. Now these are just rumblings that California, especially LA and Orange County, may be able to open at end of March or sometime in March, roughly about the same time Disneyland's able to open.
That would make sense, I think.
Well, they're up
I think
to-
that checks out.
Rumblings, people.
They're up to
That's gonna
vaccinating
happen.
over 1 million people a day, and most of those are
Yeah.
happening in New York and LA counties. So
We're trying to get those two places open,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll go so far into keeping stuff on the release schedule.
So it probably means that, like you were saying, that stuff will stay put as is, but
I think
for the most part.
yeah.
But I'm curious, do you think anything could move up because New York's opening, or do you
think
think they're
that-
going to keep waiting for
It's entirely
vaccine rolls
possible.
out?
It's impossible. I think you need LA. I think New York is step one, and that we haven't been on step one in so long.
Right.
So New York is step one. LA is the final part of that. And I think if you had both those, then Paramount could move up Quiet Place
first time
for
we
sure,
see
because it's
that-
done.
Okay.
First time we see that $25-30 million opening, that first big pop of a
Yeah.
movie that does a big number that's out there, there's going to be people clamoring for these weekends.
Yeah.
If we have Rhea or one of these open to a $30-40 million opening, which we don't think it's going to do,
No, it won't do that.
Right.
but
right.
if it did, or Godzilla or Nobody opens to one of these reasonable numbers, even 75% of what Godzilla did previously, it would be.
If we got a legit $20 million opening, that would be
good, but it
really
wouldn't
good.
encourage it. If we did double that or even 30 million for any of these movies upcoming,
right?
There will be film companies scrambling for April.
Yeah,
I think so.
Because they've got plenty of movies that fit in that category.
But it's not just us, it's international too. But the good news is like England will have no COVID restrictions come June. So they're phasing. I think theaters will be able to open in May with all final restrictions done in June. So that's the plan right now. Obviously things can change, and we know that they change when it comes to COVID, but if this holds steady, we're truly June, July, August, we're back in business. I think globally, not just in the U.S., and that'll really help with everything. Yeah,
that'll be super. And I think it'd be that June, July time is when we'll see, especially like big products from Disney remaining as they are.
Yep.
And
that'll
just be super.
Yeah, and we'll see, Paramount with Top Gun and they totally could move up Quiet Place.
You do think that could be real? Well,
everything
realistic. If like the opening numbers are showing like 20 million, is that what you guys were saying?
20 million is what we've seen already.
Right, okay. We've seen the potential of 20 million with Tenet,
gotcha.
Wonder Woman,
and then 15. 15 to
20 is what we have seen and expect for a big movie right now.
Okay,
but if Tom and Jerry, if Raya, if Godzilla open to $25+ million, there's going to be people scrambling because there's movies with budgets that big that they can put on screen right now. I mean, Quiet Place was not a big, $100 million budget movie.
Yeah.
So you get it out there, get it on screen, and see what happens with it. And then you can promote it on your streaming service, which Paramount has said 45 days out.
Right. So Paramount did say, well, and we'll get into Paramount Plus here in the next segment, but they did say that they are going to go with a 45-day window on their, which has been the most generous window, and what we were actually hoping would have been the window had we not had COVID. Yeah. I mean, we had to move the window. We knew windows were going to shrink, and we were hoping for a 45-day. I mean, some people wanted 60, but I thought that was so unrealistic for what the studios and consumers wanted.
Oh, yeah.
That my hope was on a 45, and if I couldn't get that, a 30-day window. And so Paramount has generously come out with a 45-day.
I'm sure there might be people somewhere that are saying 45 days, this is ridiculous. And meanwhile, I'm reading this, I'm going 45 days, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
This is I mean, it's not great news, but this is good news. Like, this is the best outcome, like you were saying, Cody.
Competing with everyone that has a smartphone for day and date streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, sad but true.
You can literally start the movie while you're in line at the movie theater.
What's interesting, though, is that they've quietly said that could be a 30-day window, but they're big movies like Top Gun. There's no way that it'll do well enough that it'll be a 45-day window.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to put that in there kind of in case something does so poorly, because I have a feeling this will be less of a pandemic model like what we've seen from other studios like Warner's, who have said, oh, this is just day and date streaming is just a pandemic model, and more of what they're going to do for their model moving forward. This probably feels more like the new normal for Paramount titles.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like a quick reaction, kind of like what Warner's was.
Or Universal with the 17 days.
Right. Despite them coming up with contracts and whatnot, that one feels even a bit more rushed than this one. This feels more intricate. It seems like they took their time to realize, you know what, the window's shrinking, but we still need theater numbers, so 45 is a fair deal.
They saw what Croods did with Universal and the money that Universal lost in the theaters because Croods is still playing in theaters. It could have played up into the DVD date exclusively and been,
which probably surprised Universal too.
Yeah, I think it surprised everybody.
Yeah,
but I think they saw that, and then they've seen what all the money that Warner's left on the table by going day and date. So they know they need a window of some kind. That seems to be the best model. And I think that they know they have big movies because they sold off all of the little stuff. So they have big movies. They know they need a window. So I'm really pleased with the 45 days. That's going to be great.
Yeah. This is a win-win. This is a good thing. I mean, we wish like 90 Days could come back, but even before the pandemic,
you didn't really even need 90 days. There were very few films that you wanted 90 days on. It was time to adjust that.
Yeah.
I mean, 90 days, where 90 days really helped was the secondary market, the sub runs, the intermediates, the people that didn't get to play it on the break.
But the first runs in those areas were holding on to the film just to spite the second
I
run.
wouldn't say only just to spite them, but when you got to open up a film and by the time week, 2, 3, 4, 5, you've already made your minimums film rental payments on it. It's just a percent at that point. It's just a percent. And if you're holding it for one matinee or one show and it's still selling nearly out, I don't see a reason why you just let it go. So that's what we were running into, because there wasn't enough good product to push out some of this other stuff. So when you got something really good like a Crudes, it was playing forever. Now, I wish that at the time the studios would have just allowed anybody to come in after a certain point, regardless if if a first run in the area was playing. I think those clearances are still an issue, very much an issue. And we've run into some clearance issues recently with Crudes going streaming, but not allowed to be played in theaters that were pre-pandemic considered sub-run theaters.
And going DVD this week and still not being allowed.
And still not being allowed to play because it was on too many first-run screens across the nation. Like, obvious, that's where the unfairness really comes in.
Yeah, and it's unfairness that still confuses me, because I feel like money is good money, and
right?
Why would you not want as much of it as possible? That's what you're trying to do to begin with. I don't know. It's just that little part that you're describing has always confused me, and it only makes sense. It may make sense to the studios, but even still, they probably don't understand it either. But they feel like they can't say that.
One ticket at a first run is worth 3 at a discount house, and that's the only number they're looking at.
Even though you're selling maybe 5 tickets at that first run and 100 at the and it all balances out.
Just that ticket price.
Yeah, they just
where it is.
They want to protect that first run pricing so much, and part of that comes with, I would say, a little bit of collusion with the big three. There is a little bit of like protectionism going on there that's very unfair and unwarranted.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprising, but that's for sure.
But with the pandemic and the closures, we've encouraged all of our theaters, as film buyers, we've encouraged all of our theaters that are intermediate sub-run locations to move past that.
Yeah.
To understand that's an old practice. We're lucky that it lasted as long as it did.
Yep.
And your first run location now.
But it's an old practice, not because the studios have made it old, but because consumers really have. Like that was dying. That sub-run and intermediary market was dying before the pandemic. It just, by the time a movie got that old, 4 or 5 weeks off the break, people just wanted to see it on streaming services. They wanted to rent it. They didn't want to go to a dollar house and see it.
Once we got into the big Marvel movies that played 16 weeks at a multiplex, there was no room to get it in.
No.
And now you just have to fight for that first run product. You have to get it as soon as it's available, get it on your screens, and capitalize on it.
Yep.
And if you're waiting and you don't want to raise your ticket prices, you're going to fall by the wayside. You have to really compete. I think there's
a real issue is I know that we've run across several small town theaters that want to keep their tickets $2 and $3 to help the community have entertainment for cheap. But the problem is they're playing product at that point in time and at that price point that people are getting for free on these services, because these people are going to have streaming. They're going to have streaming for lots of other reasons, not just to watch movies, but there's TV and there's other things on these streaming services.
Children's programming.
So if you're trying to keep your prices low to help out the community, have entertainment, they're already getting what you're offering for cheaper and better, and because of technology. So technology has really changed the landscape and consumer behavior.
Right.
And it's really been really hard to kind of get people in some of these situations to get over that emotion of I've got to have a $3 or $2 ticket because that's what we've always had and I'm going to lose customers. Well, no, if you get product sooner, you're not going to lose any customers. You're going to gain customers because you have the things they actually want to see in this moment right now. They don't want to see, they're not going to want to see Croods in a month from now after having had it on streaming forever. So that's the issue that we're running, and that technology moved that product quicker and more easily accessible to people.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers is still not set an intermediate date for Wonder Woman.
No,
they're one of the few that set an actual date when you can open it in your theater, even if it's on screen elsewhere.
Yeah.
They give you a date when it can go on. And Wonder Woman doesn't have a date, and it's on streaming for free. So when
I think
you're
it's
able to
off
get it-
streaming now.
Oh, well,
The
it
Warner
was.
Brothers model is a little weird
It's weird,
because
but yeah.
even though it opens day and date with theaters, at a certain point, I think it's 35 days, it goes back to being theatrical exclusive. It goes off of the streaming site.
Yeah. Well, it was available for free, and we're going to be looking at it 12 weeks after it's been available for free to play at these intermediate locations.
Yeah, for
And maybe
discounted
longer,
tickets.
Maybe longer, which is, you can't wait that long and operate a theater.
No.
Especially with all of the product Warner Brothers has. Mm-hmm. And they've had almost all of the biggest releases.
Yeah.
So far.
Since August.
Yeah, I've played what was it? Little Things, I think, before I got to have Wonder Woman.
Really?
Yeah.
And
wow.
at my intermediate location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'll get Judas before I get Wonder Woman at this rate.
which is, I mean, no offense to those other movies, but that's backwards logic. Like
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is going to be the clear movie to bring in the crowds, which is what studios and theaters should want. So
Studios should want it. They don't care about theaters making money.
well, sure, but they should care about making. Again, it's the logic that's all backwards to me and makes no sense. Hopefully that does get fixed and they realize that, but for now, that's just super annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem that this idea of clearances, that we're going to protect certain types of theaters over others, that has to go away.
Yes.
I get not everybody gets to have a chance at the break, on the break for Wonder Woman, and some people get to charge $1 and some people charge $20. I don't think that's fair, but I don't think it's fair after a certain point to say no one gets a shot at this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So.
There's got to be some sort of guarantee that
Right.
you're allowed to operate a theater and get this product at this date.
Yeah.
So at least you can adjust your business model to cover for that.
Yeah. And it should be, if it's not going to be the streaming date, it should be a point very soon after that date.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So all this talk of streaming, we've got yet another new streaming service. Paramount Plus is back. It had, what was it before? It was CBS All Access. And I mean, that had been actually around for a long time, CBS All Access.
Yeah, weirdly, I feel like it's only been around for 6 months before they rebranded, but I guess it's been around for, 2 years now?
It's
Almost?
been
2 or
around
3?
for a few years. It was one of the very first actual streaming
Yeah.
sites. It only ever showed CBS TV shows. So
and
I
like
don't.
Star Trek. That was like the only things.
Yeah, it was just a
Hawaii
a
Five-0, the new and the original.
Yeah.
Of course.
It
All
was,
the NCISs.
and the only reason I kind of
All of
knew
them.
about it is because I wanted to watch Big Bang Theory, but I didn't want to pay to watch old episodes of Big Bang Theory. So
Yeah.
that's how I knew CBS All Access was around.
You've been watching sitcom television in our house?
Not anymore. So now they've taken that off, rebranded it after the CBS and Viacom merged together, and we've got Paramount Plus. And so, are you guys excited? Is there
No.
anything on it that you want? I know that some people are very excited over all the old-timey 90s Nickelodeon shows that kids grew up with.
Yeah.
I have tried to introduce my children to shows that I watched like when I was a kid, and they are not interested in them at all.
You should show them The Last Airbender. That's a great show.
I'm
Which,
not-
funny enough, for this service, they're going to be making like an Avatar production studio, like its own studio for all things Avatar, and I'm like, that's so much milking, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I tried Power Rangers the other day, and they just started karate chopping each other.
Yeah, so
I
the
tried-
show worked.
I tried All Real Monsters once, and it just scared them.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that show.
Maybe one day. Maybe the timing's not right.
It's the timing's not right.
So yeah, I mean, this service has what? Nickelodeon, CBS, Star Trek again,
Yeah.
and all, of course,
Movies.
and of course Paramount movies,
Yeah. And all the Paramount movies.
because
So.
everyone knows which movies are Paramount
I
movies.
think the Nickelodeon stuff to me is intriguing. I don't watch any more TV, so I don't care about the CBS TV shows.
Yeah,
But
Well, us peoples in America finally get the SpongeBob movie on this streaming network.
oh
The one
yeah,
that played in Canada and
one-
was like number one
Yeah,
for
and then-
6 weeks.
and then it kept showing up on the box office reporting sites as
Yeah.
being like number one, and everybody's like, "Why don't I have this movie?" Because North America includes Canada, and it's playing there, people.
Because your theater is not in Canada, eh?
Find a way to make that work, and you'll get it done. You'll
So
get it.
How much is Paramount Plus? We decided
We crunched the numbers.
we did. We only looked at premium because let's be honest, who wants to watch a commercial? Like
Yeah.
the fact that they offer a cheaper version with commercials is just insulting. So
Yeah.
we only did the premium one.
just
What do they
for-
think we are, peasants?
It's
Yeah.
just for cheap people from the Midwest. I get it.
I could
I would totally watch
Ken's
commercials
like,
if I
this-
could save 3 cents a month.
Can't show it like this. It makes perfect sense. I grew up with this lifestyle.
no, I was like, I will not be forced into commercials.
Once commercial starts, you have time to finish your Busch Light, put it in the recycles, and get a new one. Perfect.
Okay,
Nothing
so,
about that sound appetizing to Cody.
No, it all sounded bad,
Ugh.
Very, very
but
bad.
they were all bad.
Everything was wrong with that
Yeah.
sentence.
So we've got Disney Plus coming in at $8, $7.99.
Yep.
We've got Peacock, the new edition, or no, the Universal one, from coming in at $9.99. What does Universal have on Peacock besides their movies?
Parks and Rec in The Office.
Friends in the office, yeah.
Friends in the Office.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
ER.
but maybe ER. I don't know how many people love ER, but
Okay. Then
that might be a selling point.
Wheel of Fortune.
then we've got HBO Max, kind of a hefty price at $14.99, $15.
Mhm.
That's it's twice what Disney Plus is. Then Paramount Plus coming in at $9.99.
So about in the mid-range.
So more than Disney Plus, same range as Peacock.
Right.
Probably very comparable to Peacock
Yes.
in that they have a few series, some shows, and their movies.
Although I'll give them this, Paramount Plus is definitely strategizing better than Peacock did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember seeing advertisements of Peacock having The Office and Parks and Rec. I'm only just guessing because they're off Netflix now.
Yeah.
So the fact that I know more about Paramount Plus right now than I do Peacock, it probably says
So,
something.
so does anybody that watched the Super Bowl. They advertised the shit out of that during
did.
the Super
That's true.
Bowl.
That was probably smart on their move because
It
there
was.
wasn't any
Definitely
other
was.
media
That,
commercials.
That and Queen
Yeah.
Latifah as the equalizer.
Did you ever
Yeah,
hear?
they really did
that,
show that, didn't they?
Did that work?
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about that since.
I don't know. We don't have television
But we're
anymore.
talking. But hey, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
It clearly worked.
I
Maybe.
guess. Then, if you have one of the other, I'm going to call them legacy streaming sites.
All right.
Prime comes in at $12.99. Netflix is $17.99, and Hulu is $11.99. However, if you get the live TV version of Hulu, it's $70
Yep.
a month.
A month.
A month.
Which is
These are all a
crazy.
month.
Which is crazy because that's more than a yearly subscription of Hulu Premium.
Yeah.
Which isn't live TV.
No. No. So, and then there's a whole sub tier of like, I have had one hit show, so I'm going to start a streaming site.
Right.
I like classic movies. I'm going to start a streaming site. And then there's a bazillion of those.
Yeah.
Low hanging fruit, independent streaming sites.
Yeah.
Maybe someone has it, but
Yeah.
So many I've seen for like $3 a month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Motor Trend TV.
Yeah.
$3 a month. Game Show Network has one,
Really?
which is
Of course
awesome.
it does. Of
which
course.
is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Discovery, which is like HGTV and stuff,
Discovery
they have.
Plus.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of clever though, because there's a big market for like HGTV and Food Network. I imagine those are kind of one and the same. Something like
Yes,
that.
they are
but
all on the thing.
Yeah.
TLC for My 600-Pound Life.
That's a
Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yeah, Cody can't live without that one.
God.
I don't watch her anymore. One
After a
season
while, all
was
the
enough.
episodes just
Fantasize
blur
about
together.
being
They
her.
do. I'm like, you've seen one big lipoma, you've seen them all.
God.
This big white mass coming out of people.
So there's a large sea of streaming services, which
Yeah.
surprises no one.
So if we were to take all the studio streaming sites
Yep.
and keep your legacy site streaming sites, it would come out to be $86 a month. People cord cutted so they could not pay that much money. So obviously you're not going to have all of these.
You're
No,
picking
of
and
course
choosing and canceling and then
Yeah.
reopening and adding on. And
Let's face it, like the two top ones are probably Netflix and then a Hulu bundle with Disney and Hulu, right?
I would think so. Although,
And maybe Amazon Prime only because they have shipping.
well, because you have a Prime account.
Yeah.
So you'll have Prime. You'll always keep that. And I like to occasionally order something off of Prime when the mood fits, like a
Occasionally.
film. Like sometimes I want a specific movie, and
you
I
want it
always
now.
I
Oh.
always check Prime.
oh, I thought you meant like an actual product you wanted to order because that delivery guy is tired, not from his entire route, but just from walking up
What?
to our
No.
door every
He
day.
Stop.
could have came home, but he can't now because he has to deliver.
He's done
I don't
done
know.
more.
He
A
is
cup?
coming home, my home.
Yeah. He might
Okay,
as well
but it's not
sleep
his
outside.
home.
They might as well land the plane on our street. Drop it off.
So what are you getting at, Cody? What are you trying to say?
I keep that one. I do keep Netflix because I like the variety on Netflix.
Yeah.
Although I'm finding less and less stuff I know, and more like of their original content,
Right.
and it's okay. I haven't found too many things I just love. Mostly I watch Netflix for Great British Baking Show.
As does everyone else.
That's why I watch Netflix. I only have Prime to watch for when the mood strikes, and I have Hulu because I like some TV shows.
But these are probably like the most likely services that the
Right.
majority of people will be paying
then
for.
this is what I hear, most people have Disney Plus. We do not have that in
Really?
our house.
You don't say.
They can go after themselves. All right, and then I don't know about anybody that has Peacock. And then there's the next one would be HBO Max. There's some people that have that because they have leftover HBO subscriptions and it just carried over, and there's something there. So those I still think, like the studio ecosystem, Disney is one, Warner's is two, and I want to say Universal be three, but I think it's going to be between Universal and Paramount. I feel like they're very interchangeable.
Yeah, it depends on and normally with the release schedule, it depends on the year.
Yeah. That's true.
If Universal has a Minions movie, it will be higher than Paramount.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they won't be.
Is 2021 the year where Minions and Fast 9 come out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they could have already have won if things go smoothly.
Paramount has Top Gun and Quiet Place. Those are their two big guns
Right.
this year.
Right.
Ooh,
And
it's
Universal's already been playing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they had News of the World at Christmas, but it played through this year, and
Crudes.
I mean, yeah,
Crudes too.
I'm sure Paramount and later Peacock will find ways to get content and bring in and try to be competitive. But I just still, no matter what you do, it's just such a endless sea of
Options. There's
of
just too
options.
much.
And I just feel like people are going to stick with the big three that we described: Netflix,
Yeah.
Amazon, Hulu, and then Disney is Disney. So
I think people
you
will
can't count
keep
them out.
Netflix because I like the convenience of everything in one place, and I feel like that was how Netflix got to be so big because you had all these offerings from Disney and Peacock and HBO Max and Paramount on Netflix at one point, and that made so much sense. But now you don't have that, and I don't really want to flip between all of these to try to find something worth viewing.
I mean, it's bad enough to flip during channels if you have cable. It's bad enough to flip through an endless sea of content on Netflix even. Imagine flipping through an endless sea of streaming services. How do you do that? Like, people eventually aren't going to want to cave and get all of these.
Speaking of seas, we got a brand new trailer from Disney.
Oh, we're not ready to.
What?
Move on yet.
We're still going to talk about streaming services, and we're talking about theaters. Let's talk about stuff for theaters. We're just discussing.
We can
this
wrap
is
up
big.
the streaming conversation.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Okay,
But this
let's
is
go.
really big. This is yet another streaming service that is going to be
I know.
competing with theaters.
And
And,
this- and
where
they
does
suck.
this feel? Like, where does this fit in the streaming ecosystem? And how is it going to affect the product that comes out in theaters? Now, Paramount doesn't have much product. They sold quite a bit to make it through the pandemic. They really only have their two big ones, and they were down on the bottom of the list before the pandemic. So I don't think it's going to be huge, but they're a legacy studio. They have a lot of content, and I can see where a lot of the repertory stuff is going to be eaten up by this, like it is with other stuff.
Yeah, it's the repertory stuff that I'm really concerned about. But when it comes to them being a legacy studio, I don't think the general public is thinking of it that way. Like, they're not thinking of, oh, this studio's been around for years. I have to sign up for
There's
their
lots of
streaming service
content that
now.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're thinking about, like, I don't know. They're not thinking about it in terms of that. They're just thinking of, what am I familiar with? And I think it's Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix that people are going to be most familiar with.
Yes. And Disney.
And Disney, too.
But Disney just has a branding powerhouse.
Yeah, Disney's brand is much bigger than Paramount's legacy.
It's
branding.
interesting. Kevin Feige came out and talked about Marvel and how they have been able to tell all their stories in a PG-13 rating, and how they've not been
They haven't had to compromise the story
Yeah.
based on ratings.
I'm like, and Ken made a good point. He's like, really, all these varied characters and this variety of stories at different times and different plot points,
And it
yet
was something like 20 different films with Endgame.
yeah.
That were the Marvel
About
universe.
20, yeah.
And the only one that you're gonna have a rating outside PG-13 is Deadpool, because it had already been an R. I'm like, you couldn't have made one of those movies an R. Like, one of them didn't need to, I don't know,
Make Ant-Man are rated.
throw an F-bomb in or have a sex scene or anything. Like, none of these guys,
You
don't
can't
it.
shock the kiddos with that type of language.
They don't say an F word and they don't have sex, and you can't. That's never a part of a character story.
Honestly,
they never looked at the comic books.
I think the most edgy that Marvel Studios has gone is Iron Man. Like, if you think about
because that was Paramount.
exactly.
At least he did it.
Yeah.
With somebody.
At least they tried to go there.
Yeah. He was a playboy.
Playboy philanthropist.
Yeah.
I think I
Billionaire
said the word
playboy
right.
philanthropist.
He was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
He calmed down by the end of the movie because he knew he was going to eventually get bought by Disney.
Yeah.
He's like, there's going to be some money in this. I better tone it down.
At the very end, he was a dad.
He said at the end
His
of the
art
first
was
movie,
finished.
he's like, I am Iron Man. Kevin Feige and Disney, I am Iron Man.
Yep.
You cannot replace me. I will be Iron Man for as many movies as you're willing to pay for.
And I feel like that's what is happening to Star Wars too. Like, Star Wars was never an R. It was never going to be that way. But I feel like the Star Wars universe that they're trying to create has no room. Like, Disney is not allowing for any room for any of that stuff.
This is why we need
Sure, yeah.
the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie.
That's true. This is why people are clamoring.
That is not off the table.
It's not. They
It's
never
not. They
said it's not happening
Still
anymore.
talking about it.
Yeah.
It's not off the table.
I've got 3 different scripts under my bed at home, so we can try this out.
I don't want to sound like a pervert, but I just feel that there's some adult things, like some drinking, some drug use, like maybe Captain America needs a drink
Cody?
every once in a while.
Fat Thor just doing a bump because
Yeah.
he needs a little pick-me-up.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Cap tried to drink in the first movie,
That's
but
right, he
his
can't.
super soldier serum, whatever,
Yeah.
cancels it out or something.
It's so
Good
PG-13 he can't even get drunk.
Yeah. This might as well be apple juice. I don't know.
I mean, sure, I guess there's an argument to be made that, like, they could get a little bit edgier, but I don't know. I mean, these are also movies
that's-
for children,
that's-
so
I think-
I'm sure they'd be fine, but it's under Disney, of course.
But that's all Disney has.
Yes.
They have this movie that they pander. They say it's for all audiences and adults, but really it's just for children. It is a children's network for children. And that's why we don't have it in our house, because we're not all children in our house.
Some of us are adults.
Some of us adults want adult things. Not scary things, but adult things. Like British baking.
Sure, Cody, sure.
Yeah. Okay, now we can move on. I'm just trying to figure out this new
in a
landscape.
sea of streaming titles.
We are.
I'm gonna use the transition anyway.
Oh my god.
Might as
because
well.
I tried
It
to
was
use
a
it
good
like
one.
3 times. We're adrift in
Well-
this all these streaming services,
Cut me off.
and that's what we're going to be fighting for the foreseeable future. There's going to be powerhouses like Amazon Prime who will buy $100 million movies, and there's going to be these little Paramounts
Oh yeah, we
and
forgot about Apple.
Peacock floating around.
I'm gonna put-
Everybody forgot about Apple
I'm gonna
TV,
put
to be fair.
Apple in there, but yeah, I don't. How do you even watch it? Wait, how do you watch?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. How do we watch Apple? If I wanted to watch,
You have to
I mean,
put on a
if-
black turtleneck and glasses.
okay.
Yeah, you have to buy
Do I
the
have to get
Steve
my?
Jobs
Do I have
outfit.
to watch it on my iPhone? Or do I have to get an Apple TV stick or whatever they are?
I mean, if you have an Apple anything, that's how you watch it.
Oh, that sounds awful.
And there's only like one good thing on there, so it's a good show. But yeah, they don't have much. They have very artsy stuff. That's it's I don't think it's the best product to play for a vast majority, but
So we got an animated Merman movie trailer.
there's a
we
transition
did.
somewhere
Merboys, so cute.
for
I
the
was
movie
so
for the
excited.
Pixar movie Luca.
Yeah, I can't wait to show the boys this trailer. Like, I think it's going to be really fun. It's an underdog story where these boys come out of the ocean and they make friends with people on land, but the land dwellers hate mermaids and they have to pretend that they have to keep their secret that they're mer people.
Are there monsters that wrestle in it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but
Not-
Rumble will come out soon, Ken. Don't worry.
No, this looked beautiful. It was
Yeah.
bright and colorful. I love the idea that they're mer boys and it's just not all about mer girls.
Is there a
Yeah.
giant
What
pill
about
bug?
the Mer Boys, huh?
Is there a
Yeah.
giant pill bug that they use to get through traps?
No, but that thing looks so cute. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for that screener.
Are there cavemen in it?
Maybe there were mer cave people.
Yeah, down below in the depth of
Yeah,
the ocean.
you don't know. I don't want to speak on that.
You said maybe.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
Moving on.
No.
I mean,
Luca looked so good. It's from Disney. It is coming out, I think, June.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still on the schedule. I don't believe it's going to be day and date streaming. And right now, Disney hasn't said if it's going to have a premium VOD. So right now, we're believing it's going to be completely theatrical.
Yeah, I mean, it looks delightful, and the fact that this movie's
Yeah.
coming in the summer, I think makes sense, because as I'm watching this, I'm thinking about summertime, which I haven't thought about summer and summer vacation in a long time, and I finally felt like a
since
kid.
2019.
Literally.
We pretty much gave up on it last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this was really charming, and I'm always excited for anything Pixar, because they're always gonna step up their A game when it comes to its story. So I'm here for it.
I hope so. I didn't get to see Soul, so I don't know.
Soul is really good.
Is it?
Definitely their most mature thing,
know,
I feel like.
My children watch Soul at Grandma's house, not our house.
Oh, okay.
Grandma, traitor.
Grandma knows how to do it.
Anyways,
It's her job to do this.
She does it right.
I guess traitor. She showed the boys Soul, and my oldest keeps coming back and talking about the portal that old souls go through at the very end, and
Yep.
that has really stuck with him.
Yeah.
It broke his heart that they just disappeared.
Good.
That affected him big time.
I'm pretty much Eric right now, being like, good, it's dark and kids need to know about it.
And we're
But yeah, like it's impactful, and it seems like kids, at least from what I'm hearing, are understanding the meaning of it, and they're grasping it, and it's beautiful.
At least they didn't shoot Bambi's mom. Disney has a history of doing this.
At least Disney had the decency to, do it behind the scenes. They didn't show it.
They
Never-
animated it. They
never
didn't make-
bothered me when they shot Bambi's mom.
They
but-
didn't actually make Jamie Foxx fall down a manhole cover and kill him in real life.
See, they're decent.
They're decent.
But yeah, that was the only big trailer I think that
Yeah.
came out, and people should check it out at silverscreeninsider.com, because you should know about this one for the
Right.
summer.
And there's new ones from IFC and all sorts of trailers to look at for your multiple screen programming, because you're going to need stuff beyond the A titles this summer. This March and April, you're definitely going to need them.
Yeah, for
At least
sure.
right now.
For sure. Yeah. So was that everything we needed?
That was everything on our list today. It felt like a good podcast. Felt like we had real things to talk about. It was fun getting back into the like trailer talk and
we hope you all out there like this episode too. Let us know.
You know, I still have marital strife, but that's fine. Somebody keeps cutting somebody else off.
I'm not sure what to say. For the first time today.
Should I take us out of here, guys?
Yeah.
All right, everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Off the Break Podcast. Be sure to check out our podcast on all podcast platforms and at YouTube. We're at YouTube now. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel there. And if you're a theater owner or manager in needing of marketing materials for all sorts of upcoming titles, check us out at silverscreeninsider.com.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right.
Go watch Tom and Jerry.
You can message me at ken@sleepsoncouch.com.
I can verify that.
I got the blue check mark, so don't worry about it. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.